Welcome to episode 373 of the DFO Rundown, presented by Bet365. Get in the game, download the app. You have a wide range of options. NHL, soon to be playoffs, NBA. Of course, you got the Masters coming up this week and more. Get it all at Bet365. I'm Jason Gregor, alongside Frank Seravalli. We're recording this Sunday night, but hey, the big story on Sunday is Alexander Ovechkin is now atop the scoreboard when it comes to most goals in the NHL with 895. He does it in spectacular Ovi fashion, walks in just atop the left circle and rips home a wrister short side. First ever goal on Ilya Sorokin, and it'll be one for the record books. And obviously the Capitals flood the ice, and great response by the Islander fans, I thought, for a road game, understanding the moment. Frank, it was, it was great. It was a great day.
It was a magical time to be a hockey fan these last few weeks. I mean, honestly, I made the point on Sunday morning before I even got out of bed, just thinking about how awesome of a spot this sport has been in the spotlight. Four nations, right into a ridiculous trade deadline with Mikko Rantanen traded again, right into the great chase, and now we're on the cusp of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But Alex Ovechkin has had the hockey world eating out of the palm of his hand for the last few weeks, and he just delivers. I think there's so many amazing facets to this record, but I don't think that we'll ever forget his charge into getting it. This wasn't a, hey, we got to wait 7 or 8 games for the magical goal. This wasn't, Wayne Gretzky had to go to exactly 2 games once he got to 3. 2 in one, 1 in the other, scored in his third consecutive game. It was honestly, I thought every part of it, from the way he scored it to his celebration, diving just like he dove into the fountain after the Caps won the Stanley Cup in 2018, to the on-ice ceremony. I mean, it just hit all the right feels.
Was got 42 goals in 61 games, which, if he hadn't missed some of those games, he obviously would have broken a while back.
6 weeks. He missed 6 weeks of action and has a career best shooting percentage.
Yeah, he's had an unreal year.
That goal was a 3-pointer that he scored on Sunday. Like, that's how far away it was above the dots.
It is, I think because we're in the moment, sometimes you should forget just how hard it is. Like 895, and you look, and so I looked at, since Ovechkin's come in the league in 2006, Crosby's next at 622 goals. And then you got only 2 other guys above 500. He has 400 more goals than all but 3 players during his 20 years in the NHL. 3 guys. Everybody else is 400. Now, I know that they start at different times. I understand that, but you can go through Gretzky's era and look at everybody else. Now, where Gretzky dominated was just his points. He was a great goal scorer, but his assists are off the charts. And we'll get to that in a second. But like Ovi, how much better he was than his peers is, to me, what makes it so special. And that's why anytime someone tries to downplay a previous generation, I always kind of chuckle. I'm like, you can only compare them against their peers, because that's all you got to compare against. Everything else is a projection. But when you go head to head, Ovi is so much better than everybody else during his time. For 2 decades, it's very impressive.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, the number of stats that you can throw at this chase, the fact that he scored 19% of all Washington Capitals goals since he entered the league. Think about how many different teammates have been through Washington since then. He doesn't miss games. Think about the 183 now record goalies, different goalies that he scored against. To put that in a different way, since Alex Ovechkin has entered the league, he has scored against 183 goalies and has only not scored against 28 of them. Ilya Sorokin was one of those until Sunday. He's only not scored against 28 of the goalies he's played against.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Is great. Yeah. It's like, it is, it's remarkable. And it's funny because, my son asked me and I didn't really have it. He's like, well, Dad, how does it compare to other sports records? Like where would you put this goal scoring record? To me, it's Tom Brady's touchdown record in the NFL, right? Because this is a career number one, right? Like it's up there. Obviously Gretzky's points is more impressive because it's goals and assists, but the goal scoring record, it's up there with the home run record. It's up there at the touchdown record. There's not many others that are close to it. LeBron in points. So that would be, there's not many others. I can't think of anything else that would really compare.
Yeah. I mean, this is a solemn, sacred record if you're a hockey fan. And yeah, the points for Wayne Gretzky, no one's ever going to touch that. And there's a lot of Gretzky records that no one's ever going to touch. The fact that we are, 26 years after his last game and he still now holds 57 of the 62 records that he retired with, it gives you an indication of just how incredible his career was. But when you think about this one in particular, if someone new wanted to break it, and I think we always try and put it into these kind of terms, we think about this, and we'll talk about some other records in a second. But if someone were to play his first game tomorrow or in October, he would need 20 consecutive seasons at a 45 goal pace.
Yeah.
20 consecutive seasons at a 45 goal pace. It's insane.
Dude, it is. So I crunched the numbers of just recent guys. So Sidney Crosby, obviously, you know what? He's got 622 career goals. He would need to play at his current pace of goals per game. He'd have to play another 603 games if he wants to get to 900 goals. Steven Stamkos would have to play 642 more games to get there. He's got 579 goals. And then out of the active guys who, you look and say, okay, Leon Draisaitl, Austin Matthews. Well, Matthews would have to play 788 more games. And oh, by the way, he's only played 623 to date. So he'd have to look at his career now, keep the exact same goal pace, which is obviously harder the more you play, and then add on another 155 games. That's how far he is. And then Draisaitl, who obviously had a slow start as a goal scorer, but has come on lately, he'd need over like 990 some games at the current pace for him to get there. Like, it's mind-blowing. Like, you look at Draisaitl, he gets to goal 400. You'd be like, oh, to get to 900, that's 10 years of 50 goals. No player in the NHL history has ever scored 10 seasons of 50 goals. And that's what Draisaitl would have to do. And Matt, like, it's just mind-numbing. It's mind-numbing when you think about if anybody can really push for it, because Ovi's not done. Like, Frank, he's got at least 1 year left. Yeah. Right? So
if he's lucky, he'll get to like 940-ish. I'm assuming he just plays one more year and that's it.
Do you think that's the question? Do you think he only plays one more?
Yes.
Okay.
Just a gut feel.
And is he going to, because he's mentioned before that he wanted to play in the KHL. So
he's also mentioned that if he breaks the record, he's done playing. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I saw that quote. Yeah. John Carlson was chuckling, but
do you believe in numerology? Like, I was just struck on Sunday, April 6th, he breaks the record.
The day that Washington won the lottery?
Yes. April 6th, 2004 is the day they won the lottery. And I went back and I found the story. And I mean, this is the quote from then Caps general manager George McPhee. He said, "We just feel in some way we were rewarded for the difficult task we undertook this year. We hope that today is the first day in a new era for the Capitals." And I know that it took a little while because, the draft was the last league event before the 2004-05 lockout. But since Alex Ovechkin arrived in Washington, they've been a can't-miss franchise. They've been one of the most consistent. They've been one of the most successful. He truly changed the sport in what I would say, and I can say this as a Philadelphian, is a shitty sports town.
Yes.
It just is. It's a transient place. Most people that live there, or many people that live there, are not from there. They've got their own allegiances. They're obviously involved in other things outside of sports, like politics or whatever else that you might be in. And sports, a lot of times, not that they don't have passionate fans, it's an afterthought. But
No.
he brought that place. Like, I covered many Caps games at the very beginning of that tenure where the building was half full. And you were thinking, how is this team that's never won anything, that's never really strung much together, how are they going to survive? So I went back and I looked at that season. The year that they won the lottery, April 6, 2004, they traded away Jaromir Jagr, Peter Bondra, Robert Lang, Sergei Gonchar, Michael Nylander, Anson Carter, and Mike Greer. They traded all of those players away in a 6-week span. And it ended up being the best thing that they could have ever done because it got them Ovi.
Yep. And since they got him, Frank, regular season, second most points in the NHL from 2005-06 until now. And they're catching on Boston and might pass them next year because the Capitals look like they'll be good next year and Boston won't. And if that's Ovi's last year, then you'd look and say, during his tenure, he came to our team and we won more than anybody else over a 21-year span. Crazy.
I just hate one thing through this entire process. What really bothered me, well, it's not one thing, but there were a few. At every turn, someone has tried to find a way to knock this guy down. Whether it was before he won a Stanley Cup, saying you'll never win with this guy, whether you're saying he's lazy, whether you say he's fat, whatever it is that you want to say, it's impossible to win with a player like Alex Ovechkin leading your team. He's not just proven that, but he's proven that he's a top 10 player in NHL history, I think.
Oh, he has to be. Like, how many guys, not only like the goal scoring, how many elite players were as physical as Ovi? I think of one, two, Messier and Howe. That's it. Can you think of anybody else?
Not at that level.
No. Like he had a unique brand, but like I remember talking to some defensemen. They're like, yeah, like it's hard. You play against big guys. The problem is when you play against skill guys, you got to be on your toes. He goes, when you play against Ovi, you got to have your head on a swivel because as much as he'll rip a one-timer, he'll skate right through you. And like he was 230, probably 245 pounds, a freight train who could hit. Like it was a unique combination.
He's just himself. He whatever he does for his success, it works for him.
Yeah.
The Bud Light, the Stella, whatever it is that we've saw in the locker room the last few days, his Subway and Cheetos or Doritos, whatever he brings on the plane. He's also a people person. You see the way that he spends time with fans and the crowd and his teammates. The first words out of his mouth were not to celebrate his mom or his wife or his kids, although he got to that. It was, I want to thank my teammates. That's like, he is uniquely himself, which I think earns you way more points. And he's never tried to be anyone else. He's always just been, I'm Alex Ovechkin, and that's good enough. And it came at a time when he received a ton of criticism. And the other thing that really drove me nuts during this entire run was the continued political BS that came on the back end of Wayne Gretzky celebrating it with the ultimate class, as he always does, Alex Ovechkin. He brought the FBI director, Kash Patel, to the last couple games. Okay, so what? Kash Patel is a hockey guy. Go look it up. Go watch the video and photos of Kash Patel playing hockey. Guy's a legit hockey guy. So because he's a Republican, because he's in a Republican office, all of a sudden we can't have that. Wayne Gretzky is a traitor. It's really sad what people want to throw at people in today's world, because I can't imagine a better ambassador for the sport to accomplish what he's done. And this also isn't to throw shade at anyone, but Mario Lemieux doesn't say shit if his mouth's full of it. Yet at every turn, whenever he's asked, I see Wayne Gretzky out there doing and saying all the right things. I wasn't suggesting at all that Mario Lemieux is not a classy guy. I'm just saying he's reticent. He's hardly ever in front of the camera. He doesn't do a lot of media, doesn't do a lot of interviews, and that's perfectly fine. That's the way that he's chosen to live his life, and no one should knock him for that.
And he's involved in the league, though, too. We should mention that.
Well, he
right?
used to be. He's not anymore, really. He doesn't have an ownership stake, or a very small one, in the Penguins.
Okay, you look at well, how everything was handled. Like you can view, hey, somebody might have a different political view than you. It doesn't make your view right automatically and their view wrong automatically, and it shouldn't carry over into it. No, I don't like how somebody. Well, and just because you play golf with somebody once or twice doesn't mean you're super chummy. I played golf with lots of people in my life. I barely see them. I don't even know if they lean left or right. Who cares? Right? Like, I think at times people get too upset over, and they try to connect stuff that it's like when they try to compare players that aren't even comparable. The situations aren't the same. And so who cares? To me, it's about the chase of Ovechkin and where he's. I'm more curious about, like, when he gets to 900, man. Like, they've never had a 900 goal scorer. You've had 2 800 goal scorers. No, well, 3. You've never had one 900. To me, that's outstanding. And I kind of, it opens up to think about, well, what's possible? Because a lot of people, even Ovi himself, as recent as 2016, was like, yeah, I don't think anyone's breaking that. Now, if you listen to the interview, he said, the way the game is today, I don't think anyone's going to break the record, because that was in 2016 and like 87 points, was winning the league. It sucked, right? So thankfully, the NHL did some things to get a little bit more offense back in the game. But even Ovi probably thought, yeah, it's pretty hard. And so, got me thinking, Frank, about, like, there are some records that are just, like, as great as the goal scoring record was, it's unreal.
Just 1 second before we get into that, I just want to add one more thing, and it's related to Gretzky. The emotion that was on his face when he reached out and shook his hand on the ice, you could tell how much that moment meant to him and his family. Like, that is one of the all-time great marks of all the things we just said about this particular record. This, of all of them, this one you had to hold really closely. And to I know that you don't choose to give it up, but to do it with that kind of grace, and then also the little gift from his wife, Janet, to Alex's wife, Nastia, and in the same line of tradition from Colleen Howe to Janet Gretzky, that's real stuff.
Yeah, what about Wayne having Gordie Howe's the lapel, the pin number 9? Like,
yep. People made the joke. They said, "Oh, that's so nice that he's honoring Ryan Leonard tonight."
Yeah. Hey, if you're Ryan Leonard, you're just like, how's my career get any better? I come in, I played 4 games, Ovi scored in every game. I score a goal. And the great part was, because I saw a few people, I can't believe Leonard scored. He shouldn't have scored. I'm like, guys, Ovechkin wasn't scoring the empty net goal. He didn't want to score an empty netter to break the record, which I love. But Leonard's got 4 games now, and he has seen, like, everybody around it. He gets to meet Gretzky. Gretzky calls him out in the dressing room afterwards. Hey, kid, congrats on your first goal. Like, if you're Ryan Leonard, you're probably thinking, holy shit.
But that goes back to Gretzky. Sorry, that goes back to Ovechkin, who the day after Leonard signs, or the day that he signs, he's in Circle Tavern outside the gates of Boston College having a pop with his newest teammate, who was 8 months old when he made his NHL debut.
And then he asks Leonard to tour him around his campus for an hour.
Like, that's a real teammate. And I know that someone's listening and they're probably like, come on, guys, enough. This is hagiography, right? And I get it. But that's, again, I'm all about the real stuff that's taken place here in the last couple of weeks. That moment where Gretzky is basically fighting back tears, and Janet, you can see she's wiping them from her eyes as they go to embrace on the ice. Like, this was a Gretzky family heirloom that was being passed on. And I think the way that he said it the last few weeks, no one's bigger than the game. It's all about the integrity of the game and passing these things on from person to person. The NHL has been extraordinarily lucky that the players that have had these titles of the greatest, from Howe to Orr to Gretzky, Lemieux, like down on and on, they've all been fantastic ambassadors too.
Yes. Yeah. And now Gretzky, as you mentioned,
I mean, look at Sid.
Yeah, he's still got 57 records. So, and some of them are pretty good. I did look up the one that made me laugh, like the points record's crazy, but the assist record. So I was looking, he has 1,963 assists. And so people were like, okay, who's the active player that could give it a run? You're like, well, obviously it'd be Connor McDavid, right? He's got the highest assist per game ratio of any active player. He has got Connor McDavid would need 1,253 assists to pass Gretzky. But here's the funny part. That is more assists than second place on the all-time assist list, 1,249, Ron Francis, right? Like, and McDavid's already got 700 assists. Like, McDavid is only 538 assists. He'll pass Francis. Guaranteed, mark it down. Connor McDavid will end up being second in assists. No question in my mind. But it's crazy that from today, and McDavid is just wrapping up his 10th year in the league, he would need more assists than the second assist leader all time to catch Gretzky.
Well, here's one thing to preface, though, with all of these records that we're about to talk about. Health is the only thing, not the only thing, it's one of the most important things here in this equation. If you think about the goals that Mario Lemieux scored, and I'm sure what I said earlier will rankle some people, but the point is, after what Gretzky has achieved and accomplished, like, it would be easy for him to sit back and be like, hey, you know what? I've done my part, on to the next group. And he's so ridiculously accessible. Everything that he does, it's not like, hey, I need money for that. It's, hey, what can I do to help the game? The game's given me so much. And so I just want to be super clear with that sort of disclaimer, because I'm sure that will get clipped at some point and someone will say, hey, look at what Frank said about Mario Lemieux. Okay. Just wanted to say that. But the health part, like, you could look at Lemieux and the goals that he scored in as few games as he scored them in, and you could make a case, maybe before this week, that he was the best goal scorer of all time, just on pure goals per game. Crazy?
Yeah, maybe, or bossy, right? Like, you could make the argument, yeah.
Yeah, but my point is, we could talk about, mark it down for sure, and I'm with you. McDavid is going to pass Ron Francis. But that's the other part of the magic of Ovechkin, is 1,487 games played.
Yeah.
That's the magic, is that he's played this long and he's not a compiler. He's not a guy that's just running out the string, getting 17 goals here and 13 there and 12 the next year, and just going to eke across the finish line. He did this at the peak of his powers, but his power is staying on the ice and being that guy. And that's what so many other guys have to live up to. Is if you want a prayer at sniffing any of these, you're going to have to play a long, long time, and you're going to have to love it.
Well, hey, 100%, right? Like, that's why the assist record, the points record, it's ridiculous amount of production, but then you're going to have to play for a long time. Now, I think we are seeing players, and the one thing is, when you look at the biggest difference between Ovi and Gretzky is, if you look at the first 10, 12, 14 years of the career, there's a significant gap. And I think a lot of it comes down to the training and everything else of today's athletes, the commitment. They're playing later for sure, but we see it across all sports now. The athletes, the education they have on training is allowing them to maintain their levels, especially the elite players. The truly elite ones can stay elite longer than ever before. And that really helps them. And so, could McDavid play because of skating? And, we all, skating first thing to go. Well, you know what? McDavid might not, put up 140 points or 130, but geez, could he play and still score 95? Probably. And maybe he does it for another 15 years. But even if he does it for 15 years, he still wouldn't be close to the record of Gretzky, which is still mind-blowing, right? For an assists and points. And so, those are the two records that are hard. But we were looking up a few records, Frank, that are kind of interesting, that say, hey, maybe, like, could there in a weird way, could somebody chase some records? Now, they're not going to be the goal. They're not going to be assists and points. So none of them are going to match up head to head to the goal record. I just want to preface that, right? Like, there's not many, But Cale Makar, goals for defensemen, is one that I look at. The way Cale Makar is, he just became only the 9th defenseman in NHL history to score 30 goals in a season. He's young. He's only 6 years into his career. And Ray Bourque has 410. And if you look at Makar and you look at Bourque through 6 years of their career, and Bourque played a few more games, he was ahead by 15 goals at that point. Right now, Makar's season's not over yet, so maybe it ends up being a few less. But I know it's not the whole league, but Cale Makar could end up. I think he has a legit shot to track down Ray Bourque because how he plays, how he shoots, everything. To think that this is a guy that you might talk about. It's another decade at least that he might be at 411 goals when it's all said and done.
I could see that. But one record I can't see being touched in that vein is someone getting to 50. Paul Coffey has the record of 48 in 85, yes. 86. To score 50 as a defenseman is like we're seeing. Oh, it'd be amazing. I can't see it. Dude,
we have one forward who scored 50 this year.
Yeah. Yeah, so, you're right.
Yeah. It'd be tough to be a D-man who could do it. Like some other ones that are kind of interesting to me is like, and it's not a record, but it's a real unique group. And Sidney Crosby, Frank, like he's got 2 more years left in his career. Sid would need 78 goals to be only the 5th player to have 700 goals and 1,000 assists. Pretty hard to do that combination of goal scoring and passing. Do you think Sid plays long enough to score 78 more goals?
So he has a 2-year extension?
Yes. He has 2 more years minimum.
No.
So you don't think he'll play after those 2 years?
At this juncture, I can't foresee that.
Really, eh? Because he's only 36.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be like, so here's the only thing I know about this contract extension is that the Penguins wanted to go somewhere between 3 and 5 years because they wanted to try and suppress the AAV.
Right.
And the response from Sid was, I get the idea of it, but I'm just not sure how long I want to play.
Actually, 37. My bad. He's 37.
Right. He turns 38 in August.
So, 38,
so these
39.
2 years, I mean, this basically brings him to 40. It's the summer before he turns 40.
Yeah.
So, I just, it's not that he definitely doesn't want to. It's just that he doesn't know, at least as it was relayed to me. I mean, I can't speak for Sid, but that's what I was told. And when you see that, and then you see a 2-year extension come, it's kind of some indication that this is a guy that's unsure. And I think, to me, so much will depend on the state of the Penguins. If they truly become a team that rebounds and does what the Capitals pulled off, then I could see it for sure because he's got that competitive fire. But I think they're a long way off from that.
Yeah, you're probably right. So it's an interesting one to watch for Crosby because I wonder if it you know what, like you look at Ovi, not only did he have a record-breaking chase season, his team's in first place, right? Like it makes it way more fun when you're doing that and your team's winning, right? Especially for guys who that's their goal. They still want to win. Like, Ovi, who knows how deep the Capitals will go? Like, will anybody be shocked if they're in the Eastern Conference Final? Probably not. So, that's on top of him having a record-breaking year. Whereas Pittsburgh right now, they don't look close at all. I know they think they're going to be. I'm just not sure how that's actually going to come to fruition. So if he's played 2 more years, Frank, and they don't even have a sniff. Now, I know he has the Olympics next year. So, there's some fuel for the fire, and that's great. But, that 27 year, there's no Olympics, there's no 4 nations. He's just like, oh, geez, this isn't really fun. I haven't had any real thing to push for. So I just wonder kind of how that plays into his decision-making.
So when we're talking about records here, you're just talking like long-term career.
Kind of career. Like we could do season ones. Like the other one that's Alex Ovechkin has 324 power play goals, most in the NHL. Right now, Leon Draisaitl's 50% there. He has 162, like bang on. But the last few years, Draisaitl has been the best power play goal scorer by a fair margin over the rest of the league. He's got 93 power play goals just in the last 4 years. And the way that power play is, and, McDavid's going to sign his extension, those two play together. I think Leon Draisaitl has a legit chance to chase down Ovechkin's power play goal record.
I was going to say, if I was going to throw out one of the records that might be gettable, and Leon got pretty close a couple years ago, would be the Tim Kerr single season power play goal record. 37.
Yeah. Well, if they call penalties, sure.
Well, yeah, and that's provided us some great fodder this year, but that 324 is still a remarkable number and growing, man. By the way. That's the other thing, is where do these end up with Ovechkin? That's the big question. And I mean, 324 is a tremendous career for someone just at any strength.
Oh, yeah.
Like, to think that he just did that on the power play. And I mean, we mentioned it, but still so fitting that he did do it on the power play and from more or less his spot.
Oh, and a great shot. Like, Tom, I'm sure he's excited because, some of his longtime teammates are involved in the goal. And it wasn't like, to me, it wouldn't matter how you score, but in the moment, it's sure nice that it's like a goal scorer's goal. I think that just added to the whole storyline. I love the fact they didn't want it to be an empty netter, which is great. Like single season records, obviously, Frank, there's some that are pretty difficult. Like you look at as great as like Ovi is now the greatest goal scorer ever. And the most goals he ever had in the season was 65. Right? Like the 92 goals by Gretzky. I think
that one is never going to get touched.
Yeah. 50 and 39.
Yeah. So I didn't realize this, but did you notice that this year over the course of the season that Ovi passed Jagr for most career game-winning goals?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
He's at 136. Jagr's at 135.
Yeah.
136 game winners.
Yeah. Like it's nuts, man. Like you just look at, you go up and down the list of where he's at. And like he's got the most overtime winning goals too, I think, or not winning. Obviously it's a winning goal, but most overtime goals at 27. And yeah. It's like you're the reason when you want to be the only thing he doesn't score a ton of was shorthanded goals, and that's fine. But
what does he have, 5 or 7?
Geez, maybe. And you know what? Like he's got 5. Yeah. And so you look at, those nowadays, we don't have the top guns killing penalties, which is totally fine. I have no issue with it, but like that's a record too. That's never Gretzky has 73 shorthanded goals. Active players, Brad Marchand has 36. And like Brad Marchand is well ahead of everybody else. If you look at like the most prolific goal scorer, guys who have at least 300 career goals outside of Marchand, the only guy over is Evander Kane, and he has 18. Like no one's coming close to that's another record that ain't ever getting broken.
So a couple other goal records that I think are challengeable. Most goals in a single Stanley Cup final series. Babe Dye has the record from 1922. He has 9 in a 5-game series. But someone on a heater in a 7-game series could get to 9.
Well, I remember when Yari Curry was chasing Reggie Leach, and Yari Curry ended up tied with him at 19, but he had 17 going into the Cup final. And then he kind of slowed down, which is nuts.
Well, I think that one's gettable too. And the amazing part about Reggie the Rifle's 1976 spring, when he had 19, is that he did it in 3 rounds.
Yes, he didn't even get to the final.
No, they did get to the final. It was only a 3-round tournament then.
What?
Yes.
Oh, geez.
There weren't enough teams in the league in 1976.
Because he only played 18 games, didn't he?
He had 16 games, 19 goals in 16 games, and he had 4 in the Cup final, which was a sweep that the Montreal Canadiens began their next dynasty.
Right.
But they went 7 games with Toronto, 5 with Boston, and 4 with Montreal, and he set the record at 19 that still stands for most goals in a single playoff. Only 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Someone might get 10, 12 more games. You could play 28 games in a playoff run.
Yeah. Well, right now, Frank, what about in 5 years because eventually the playoffs are going to expand. So yeah,
They can't expand the playoffs.
You don't think they will?
I don't think they should.
I agree with you, but you know how it is. Money, money, money.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll talk. But there are some.
I can't believe we worked in a Babe Dye reference today.
But
his career from 1919 to 1930.
Well, buddy, Babe Dye and like Joe Malone was like the original sniper in the NHL. And you know, I'm sure there's nobody listening who watched Joe Malone live, but you know what, Cy Dennehy, and then like you go back and look at the Rocket and how he dominated when he came in as a goal scorer. And I know like a lot of people like, oh, I hate active guys, but it takes a long time for somebody else, you know, that's going to break a record, and nobody's close to Ovi's record. And like Gretzky said, I'm not sure anybody will get there because he's still going to go. He's going to get to 900, and there's the longevity factor, and there's so many different factors involved. Like, you know, I look at Austin Matthews, and if Austin Matthews, hey, you got to stay healthy, right? You got to stay healthy. That's just a fact, and it's hard to do. It just is. Even with all the advancements in the game and everything else, some guys are just built different. And Ovi's longevity and the fact that not only did he play games, but he played at a high level here, 1,400 and what is he at? 87 games, and he's still scoring 42 goals a year, for goodness sakes. Yeah, it's awesome. Let's bring in Ty Yaremchuk, and we'll talk some playoffs after Ty.
What's up, boys? Ready to go? New edition of Buy or Sell, brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Let me start with this one. Connor McDavid being the second ever to get to 2,000 points. I know you touched on it a little bit, but do you think McDavid will be the one or the second ever to get to 2K? Do you think he doesn't get there? Do you think maybe Sidney Crosby gets there before him, which feels like a stretch? But buy or sell, McDavid will be the second ever to 2K points, Gregor.
Yeah, I actually wrote that last year. And I crunched all the numbers and did kind of like even a low bar projection. I think 2000's legit for sure for McDavid. And I think McDavid could end up having a 21, 22 year career and play until he's 40. And I punched the numbers then. I thought he could be around 2150. So yes, I think almost certain. And Frank, because Crosby's the other guy who has a chance, but he has to play probably 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Do you know that McDavid's already missed more games than Ovechkin has in his entire career?
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
Just for that 1/2 season, I guess, would more or less do it.
The first year right out of the chute is a big chunk of it.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think he is the second and I would say probably only player. I mean, it's impossible to predict who's coming next when Gretzky set the record in March of 1994, I mean, Alex Ovechkin wasn't a blip on anyone's radar. So it's going to be hard for someone just, again, from a pure mathematical standpoint to get to 2000, what you need to enter the league doing and then run with it. It's pretty much like think about the seasons that Crosby and Ovechkin had right out of the chute.
Yep.
102 points his first season, Crosby, and he does not win the Calder. That was Mr. Ovechkin. Next season, 120 points. He had 222 points in his first 2 seasons. McDavid didn't have 222 points in his first 2 seasons. And those guys aren't close, but they also obviously didn't have the 130, 40 point seasons along the way. So it's going to be fascinating, but the math part, I'm going to say McDavid is the second. And I think for a long time, going to be the only.
It would also end that ever popular trivia question, which is Wayne Gretzky has more assists than anyone else has points. Once McDavid gets to 1,964, that would no longer be a fact. Let's turn our attention to the playoff races here for a second, guys. Some big strides made by a handful of teams this week. Montreal's won 5 in a row. They seem to be pretty close to having that final spot in the East locked up. Minnesota 6 points clear of Calgary, although I know there's some games in hand. If you had to buy on one of the 2 conferences, well, still being a race, is the East or West, Frank? Which one do you think will have more intrigue down the stretch? I know your real answer, and I would probably agree with you, is none of them, but if you had to pick one.
No, I'm not playing that game. None of them.
None.
There's no race. With all due respect to... Oh, okay. I'll take it back. I'll say if you forced me to buy, I'll play along. I will be a good sport. If you forced me to play along, it's the West, and it's the Flames chasing the Wild.
I'm going to go the East.
And they have a head-to-head matchup this week, by the way.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. I'm going to go the East because you just said what race is intriguing, and the Atlantic Division race is very intriguing because all of a sudden, the Senators are 2 points back of the Panthers. Panthers could drop into wild card 1, which means they would take on the Maple Leafs. We all thought it was going to be all Ontario and all Florida. Could you imagine the Leafs win the division? They finish, and their reward is they got to take on Florida now. Hey, that's what happens in the playoffs, man. You got to play tough teams at any time. So there you go.
What an SAT question answer that was. Congratulations.
There you go, buddy. He didn't say wild card race. He said race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. Gregor found the loophole, I guess. That's fair. Let me ask you one about the Calgary Flames. I know last week, Frank, I had asked you about the Flames or Canucks. If you had to pick one who you think was going to make the playoffs more in the next 5 years, kind of who would you pick? We'll just zero in on Calgary for this one, though. I will say that in the next 5 seasons, the Calgary Flames make the playoffs more than they miss. So at least 3 of the next 5. You buy or sell on that, Gregs?
3 of the next 5. That's a good question. And they're going to find somebody who can score because that's what's killing them. They can defend. Their young goalie's pretty good. So I will sell. I think I'm going to make it twice.
Okay, Frank?
I'll buy. I think they've got some interesting pieces coming. Like you just see Suniev get signed. He's a pure goal scorer. It's not gonna be tomorrow that you're gonna see him. He might play in a game once the Flames are essentially eliminated. But Zane Parek's on the way, quite literally from Saginaw, 100+ point defenseman in the OHL. And yeah, there's gonna be a learning curve for these guys, but they've got stuff coming. They've got future blue line pieces, and they've got Dustin Wolf. So I think you take that, you smash them together with Nazem Kadri, who is on a career goal scoring year, and you see a bit of a rejuvenated Jonathan Huberdeau, and I'm going to say that they make it at least 3 times in the next 5 years. And they're getting a new building. It's going to be an easy place to attract players to.
Yeah,
easier.
Multiple first-round picks for each of the next 2 years and are projected to have around $36 million in cap space this summer. And listen, as the years go on, those contracts to Kadri and Huberdeau, again, they're both playing well this season, so it's not that big of an issue, but those deals also age better and better as the cap continues to go up. If you believe Dustin Wolf is a truly elite goalie and he's not, Steve Mason or something like that, or rookie who just got hot for a year, then they have the building blocks to do it, and the West has some teams that might age out a little bit, right? Anyways, that's a wrap, boys, on a new edition of Buy or Sell, brought to you by Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner. Every face-off, hat-trick, power play, shot on goal, every suspenseful moment in between is amazing. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, an official partner of the NHL. Download the Bet365 app and use the code NATION to get in the game. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly.
Oh, one small thing before we go to playoff chases. I want to get your take on this and see if you think I'm crazy. Kudos to the Washington Capitals equipment team, their trainers, their staff. Everyone has done a fantastic job of managing the craziness of the memorabilia game through this process. Like, honestly, those guys deserve many, many cold beers on Sunday night. That said, are you at least a little weirded out by the, people who are all over the memorabilia part of it? I understand that everyone wants to touch greatness, and there's always some, I guess, what you would call provenance of a piece of memorabilia, an artifact. You could point to something on your bar counter and you say, oh yeah, see that? This was part of that. But okay, beyond the Hall of Fame, which obviously is going to have its own Ovechkin wing, but I mean, Tyler just put in the chat, Jacob Chikrin got a game sheet and a can of beer signed by his teammate, Alex Ovechkin. Okay, that's different if you're a teammate.
The game
Yeah.
sheet's good. Yeah.
But I'm saying the random weirdos who will buy this stuff online later, like I'm wearing a helmet from the week that Ovechkin scored the goal. I think that's a little strange.
Yeah. If it's from the week. Yeah.
But like, hey, the game tying, I've got, one of the whatever, the sock. I've got one of the skates. I've got something like, I just think like it's odd. And I love that Wayne Gretzky, when he walked in the locker room today and Ovi went to hug him and he said, "Don't hug me, you stink." Like do not forget, this gear reeks. It stinks. So you're grabbing gloves, probably which were barely worn, a stick, helmet, skates, sock, pants, whatever it might be. I just think it's a little odd. I do. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I am not a memorabilia guy, so I'm probably the last one to ask about it. But like I'm always blown away by somebody pays like millions of dollars for a hockey card or a baseball card, right? And stuff like that. And you're like, okay. Now if you got, now I'm assuming the stick is going to go to the Hockey Hall of Fame. I would assume. Maybe I'm wrong, but
he's a very big collector of his own stuff and his sticks. He's planning to open a museum in Moscow. So that stick from today, that's going to that museum.
Okay,
like,
so what's the Hall of Fame? What's up? Because he got Sorokin's stick too. I know that. I saw that he asked Sorokin for his stick,
but they were collecting stuff from teammates. Like Ovi's teammate wore this in this game. Like, my God, we're jumping the shark here. I look, I get it.
Yeah,
I just think like and maybe it's just me. Like maybe I'm like too cool for school and whatever. But I saw all the stuff being collected and I was just like, a little weird.
I don't know. I'm not somebody's hockey gloves. Like, if you could have like a retro pair of hockey gloves from decades gone by that look so different, and that's a conversation piece. Hey, these are the gloves they wore back in 1965. I don't care what game. I don't care who it is. That's okay to me. But you know what? Yeah, so-and-so scored whatever. Tom Wilson. Here's Tom Wilson's gloves. He assisted on the record-breaking goal. Pardon?
And yeah.
You have what? Yeah, like that would mean nothing to me.
And another big faux pas from Sunday, the New York Islanders, who were classy hosts, the way that you mentioned their fans reacted, and kind of a really cool moment, not just for all the Caps fans that were there, but obviously, as you know, Long Island itself is a hotbed for a lot of Russian immigrants. So there were a lot of not just regular hockey fans, but Russian hockey fans in particular, which is why so many Russian players like playing for the Islanders and the Rangers. There's a ton of Russians there that I think enhanced that crowd and made it a bigger deal. But then later in the game, they had a scan the QR code on the Jumbotron, and it said, if you would like a printed copy of today's game ticket, because everything's digital now, scan this QR code. And everyone's like, oh, what a nice gesture. Except that they were charging fans $45 per printed ticket to get a copy.
45? Oof.
Come on, man. Like, it's history. Like, that one, you just got to be like, yeah, we'll charge you $5 for the shipping.
Yes.
Like, stop it. No one's saying lose money, but no one's saying that you need to profit off of a commemorative printed ticket, which, by the way, is very basic. You could just do what I did. I went to the Super Bowl this year, digital ticket, found someone on Etsy who prints like really nice, stylized Super Bowl tickets, and they came in a plastic sleeve, and it was way better off. Anyway, Not the real thing, but today's digital world, just a little different thing.
Yeah, no, it's true. I actually went to the Oil Kings playoff game today, and I had to pick up some tickets because I lost my wallet. Long story anyway. Couldn't pay online.
Lost your wallet?
Yeah, I just misplaced it. Yeah. So I'll get it back though. I don't have it right now, but it's being found, so that's good. But it's a rattling experience.
I'll get it back. That's some like serious confidence.
Yeah. No. I got a phone call. I'm getting it back.
Okay. I thought we were saying like, oh yeah, I'll find it eventually.
Yeah. No. I knew where I'd left it. So, but So I couldn't buy the tickets online for the game. So I called there and I said, I got cash. I'll just come to. So I got, like, when I showed up, I got tickets in hand. And when I went to scan them to go in, the old guy running the scanner said, tickets in hand, man. This is paper tickets. This is old school. He loved it. I'm like, oh, so good. And I do wish
idiot that gets to the gate doesn't know how to do it on their phone, and it takes forever. And then you just stand there waiting.
Like, I wish that you could get, like, there's just something, like, when you could have a ticket from a game you were at, it's just different than a digital one. I know that everything's in the world's digital, yada, 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 but there are certain things that are just a little bit better. You had a ticket to special events and it sits up there, and you were at a Stanley Cup game, or you're at a World Series game or a Super Bowl game, and you have the actual ticket. Like, I got to play 9 holes of golf with Chichi Rodriguez. I have the golf scorecard with, the 4 of us on there, and Chichi signed it. And I'm not even a collector, but I'm like, that was pretty cool. I got to play with Chichi. So I look at it like it's better than, what if I had a digital picture? It's not the same.
No, it's a good one. And I do think that there's some parts of our digital world that, like, when you go to the airport, do you get a paper boarding pass?
No, it's always on your phone.
Okay. Just checking.
Yeah. Because I always check in beforehand, right? And then you don't even have to go. And I don't check bags, so I never have to go to the counter. So,
so
we could get
we got a whole ticket. The Montreal Canadiens punched their ticket. Pretty much.
I know. Yeah, now it's not so much to say. Hey, speaking of that, yes, the Habs, Frank, they're not officially in. They're in. The Ranger. If the Habs just go 2-2-1 in their last 5 games, which isn't a great record, the Rangers have to go 5-0-1. It ain't happening. The Canadiens are getting in. They're going to play the Capitals. God help them, because I think that's a tough matchup for them. But they're going to get in. They played great. Their backup goaltender kind of stood on his head today in Nashville. Stole him a game, his first win in over a month, and so everything's just, you know what? The Habs are an exciting team. They're fun to watch, and they deserve it. They've won their way in, whereas other teams were backing their way in. And so I give them credit. And I know that the Red Wings are in the same boat. They would have to, to go 5-0-1. And I know they play each other, so that's a little bit of an advantage, but it's still not the same. And the Flames and the Wild. What's interesting is, though, that Senators Panthers, all of a sudden, the Panthers lose 3 in a row. The Sens win 3 in a row. They're 2 points back. There's 5 games left. In a weird way, you could have Toronto still facing Florida with Toronto winning the division. And no one would have thought that was even possible a few weeks ago.
No chance.
Yeah.
Now, connected to the OV record, are the Caps better off having gotten that out of the way before the playoffs?
I think so. I think it's been probably galvanizing for the players you're going to be able to tell all your kids, like, I don't have a pair of gloves, but I've got 80 games of memories I can talk to you about from that season. And watching Ovi score at least 42, whatever he's going to finish with, we don't know. It would be unreal, though, if somehow he found a way to score 8 goals down the stretch and get 50 for a 10th time. But I know that's super low odds, but that would be sick. But I think that's been something that's kind of helped unify that team. But now I think you can, if I'm them and say, hey, guys, we got the record now, let's not waste our season. But I do agree. I think it's better to get it away now and get it out of the way. And so they focus on it. They'll ride the high. They'll all be super excited the way in. And, the Capitals, we haven't probably talked about them enough because we've been talking more about Ovi, and rightfully so. But Caps have been pretty good all year long, man.
Yeah, I guess I was always thinking about it from that one point of view, which is get this over with and refocus yourself. But I do think that there's something to be said for the high that they've been riding, and then the energy and buzz that's gone into every game because this record is on the line, that I think it's probably going to be pretty natural to see that energy level dip over the next couple games. Like their dopamine has been depleted. Like they have done it as a team, and you saw how excited they were for him. There's not a heightened sense of awareness that existed a week ago.
Yeah. Well,
there just isn't.
No. And then the other thing is, Frank, what about the health of Logan Thompson?
Yeah, well, that's a big one. Big one. Like, you know, with all due respect to Charlie Lindgren, this season is not what last season was for him.
No. Maybe he can turn it around, but they got to hope that Thompson's ready to roll by the playoffs.
And what about this Protas injury?
That would be huge.
Week to week. I did not love the sound of that, knowing that the playoffs are less than 14 days away now.
Well, you think about it, Frank, usually when you say day to day, that ends up being a week. Week to week ends up being like multiple weeks. And so,
usually when I hear that, the first thing I think of is 3.
Yes, I totally agree. So he might miss the first. Now, I do think they could probably get by Montreal without him. But Protas is a hell of a player. People who maybe don't follow Washington enough, he is a hell of a player. Like, look at his body and his size. Like, Frank, when the games get bigger and tougher as we do in the playoffs, are you kidding me? Like, this guy's built for the postseason. So that's a big blow. He's been outstanding for them all year long.
I wonder if, like, again, not to rain on anyone's parade in Washington today, but if Thompson is out and if Protas is out, we don't know the answer to any of these questions. But if they are, I give the Montreal Canadiens a chance to win that series. And actually a pretty significant one. I think it gets close to a coin toss.
Come on.
Dude, the Canadiens have played pretty well. Not that the Caps haven't. And this wouldn't even be the biggest Canadiens upset over the Caps in this century.
I know, 2010.
That was another President's Trophy year. And it's one of the biggest points gaps we've ever seen from 1 to 8. And they shellacked them.
God, they did shellack him in that series, man. Oh, my goodness. I remember game 7, like, he was out of his mind in that game. And the Caps just could not score. Like, they actually missed 2 wide open nets, too. Like, missed the net on them, which was nuts. But, we'll see. Yeah. Oh, no, I totally agree. They did. We'll see what happens. I love that the Habs get in, man. And I think that's fantastic for them and a young team. And, you get to see Hudson and Caulfield and Suzuki and Slavkovsky all in the playoffs. Montembeault, I think it's going to be great. But I just think that's a bad matchup for Montreal. That's all.
Do you remember what Yaroslav Halak's save percentage was in the final 3 games of that series?
Oh, wasn't it something stupid like 975?
978. 3 goals against in 3 games on 134 shots.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding? And by the way, the Caps scored 5 goals in game 3.
Yeah.
And Halak didn't even play game 4.
I know. It was they got Halak for sure in that series. But I think it's awesome for the Canadiens to get in. The Panthers and just kind of how they're playing here lately, Frank. I know, and hey, we've seen teams kind of crawl into the playoffs. They got tons of experience. They're the defending Stanley Cup champs.
Tons of injuries.
They're going to get Matthew, but that's the thing. Like, they got lots of injuries. They are going to get
They're
Tkachuk
like the Oilers and the Wild.
Totally.
I don't really think about what they've done in this stretch because I go, this isn't the authentic roster that we're going to see in the postseason. So I can't really grade them or judge them.
Yeah. Well, no, the Oilers found ways to win some games. It's probably the only difference. I think Edmonton's the team, though, that if all their guys are healthy, especially McDavid and Draisaitl, they're still I just don't LA can't score enough. And at the end of the day, I think McDavid and Draisaitl to slow them down that much is going to be hard.
Okay, so I am not going to be here for Thursday's pod. By the time I'm back next Monday, will the Dallas Stars have caught or passed the Winnipeg Jets?
No.
I
know they're close. What are they? 3 back. There's 5 games to go. I don't see it. No. They've gained what? 4 points in 10 games. They got to gain 3 and 5. I don't see it happening. Because it's kind of like they're 4 points, right? No, I guess they'd end up, if they catch them, they'd end up having more regulation wins, I would assume, because they're tied already. So,
okay, here's another one. Will the San Jose Sharks catch the Chicago Blackhawks?
No. They got a tough scad down the stretch, and they're going the wrong direction in San Jose. They're playing their young guys.
They have more wins than the Hawks in their last 10.
Yeah.
And they have a game in hand, and they're only 4 points back.
It is the race, though. Like, it's a pretty close race for the number 1 and number 2 spots in the draft. But I'll be on Team Shark to finish 32nd. What about
Gregor wearing a Shark jersey?
What about the Buffalo Sabres, Frank? Just climbing the standings late in the season,
bleeping themselves into oblivion in Buffalo.
So here they are now. They've passed Pittsburgh, Philly, and Boston. Do they catch Columbus? Like this, Columbus?
But they've also passed Anaheim and Seattle.
Yeah, I know.
It just, again, I can't say it in a more accurate way than bleeping yourself into oblivion.
Yeah, like right now they got the 9th best odds in the lottery, and like 2 weeks ago they were 4th. So, but they're humming right now. They are humming, just probably not at the right time.
Definitely
Frank, enjoy
at the right time.
Yeah, enjoy some time off, and we'll have fun on Thursday's pod. And when we come back, we will be within a week because the playoffs start on Saturday, the 19th. It's going to be fun.
Playoff previewing when I get back.
Yeah, you know what? You might have all the series known by Monday. We'll see.
I think 6 of the 8 series right now are like a 60% or better chance of that being the series.
Yeah.
Some of them are in the 90s and high 70s in terms of probability already.
Yeah. Well, Edmonton, LA is a for sure, I think. Vegas and St. Louis, I know it's not 100%, but Vegas, they win tonight. I just don't see how. I don't think Minnie's going to end up ahead of St. Louis. I'd be a little surprised there, but
Dallas and Colorado is very, very likely.
Yeah.
New Jersey and Carolina is
that's
locked
a lock.
in.
Yeah, It's locked in.
And
so I think the Canadians and Capitals are locked in for me. So,
and Florida and Tampa is pretty close to a lock.
Well, but not with Ottawa, right? Ottawa's only 2 back of them all of a sudden. It's crazy. So
I know.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Awesome. Okay, that's the rundown brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the game, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Seravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.